Right. We have confirmation on that. Recording has started. So without further ado, I think we'll just start with introductions real quick. Again, this is the San Juan Mine RFP pre-bid meeting for the state of New Mexico Mining and Minerals Division. My name is Eric Monroe, and thank you for attending this morning. I'm the contact for this RFP, and I have several of my other team members on the line with me today: Jenny Olgan, Shan Stringer, James Smith, and Gabe Wade as well. I wanted to mention that for us to really, while this is being recorded, the best way for you to get your questions to us is via the chat window. That just helps make sure that it's there and in the history of this meeting this morning. And that will facilitate us in if we can't answer you verbally here, that we will get back to you with your written question. So I guess since it's a fairly small group here, I kind of in order here of what I see on my screen, I wouldn't mind getting an introduction from those who are attending. If we could start with Angela, just who you are and who you're representing today. Sorry, Angela, I wasn't able to hear you. I saw you took you off the mic, but sure, maybe attempt again to speak. Yeah, no, can't hear you still. If it's easier and you're on a mobile or something, can you just drop maybe who you're representing in the chat window? That would be okay too. Ah, okay. Thanks, Angela. Yeah, and sorry you're so Animus Environmental Services. I'm sorry you're not able to be heard on this end, but hopefully we can resolve that on your side during the course of this. Next up, I think it's Elizabeth McNally.
Hi, this is Beth McNally, and actually I'm also with Animus Environmental Services, and I apologize. I think Angela was at like a PT appointment or something.
Gotcha.
So she's multitasking this morning, but yeah, I'm with Animus Environmental Services, and we're based out of Farmington, and I'm an environmental engineer and the owner of Animus Environmental.
Very good. Thank you, Beth. Appreciate that. Maria.
Hi, good morning. My name is Maria Hashemi, and I am Marketing and Proposal Coordinator for the NLB Stevens and Associates.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Greg.
Yes, I'm Greg Dozer. I am a geologist, and I am part of the Animus team that's putting together a proposal for this project.
Very good. Thank you, Greg. And John.
Hello, I'm John Ayarby. I'm also with GLA, Daniel B. Stevens and Associates, and I'm a hydrogeo.
Thanks, John. Well, that's a good group this morning. And then I will kind of move through here a little bit into the crux of why we're here. And so just a little background, getting into the request for the proposal. The House Bill 142 was put together at the end of last legislative session in 2023, as many of you are likely aware, titled the San Juan Generating Station Facility and Mine Remediation and Restoration Study Act. So a lengthy title, but one which we've carved out our RFP information from. And I have that up on the screen here for you, just the first page. It is, of course, in the public domain. If anyone's interested in having a copy of this, you're welcome to it, and I can make this available. And, oh, let's see here, just a moment. We have a new person here. Let me just, hi, Frank, are you on? Frank, if you can hear me okay, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the group, who you represent. Okay, well, we'll continue on here until Frank is available to speak. But again, this was the background here for the RFP, House Bill 142, begun in July 1st of 2023, is when it was passed. The next thing here I just wanted to run through is how to get into our website. If you haven't already, just for those who are on the line here. Frank is with Animus. Okay, very good. Thank you, Beth. Good to have a presence here. Getting into the location of the RFP, we have the website, www.mnerd.nm.gov. And I do have in the agenda here written down how to get there. So we'll piece that together right now. So here we have the website. Go to the industry oversight. And then under mining, public notices. And please interrupt me at any time if you are not seeing this in real time. Sometimes there's a delay and I want to make sure that you're seeing everything that I'm putting up on the screen. So feel free to interrupt. Public notices. And then on the public notices page, we scroll down to Coal Mine Reclamation Program. And under that heading, you'll see the San Juan Generating Station request for proposals. And under that, you'll see the RFP public notice and then the request for proposals. So the RFP public notice, I imagine everyone has seen that. That is essentially the first paragraph of the RFP, giving an overview, and then my contact information, the website again as to where that can be found, the full RFP. And then going back, if we get onto the request for proposal, then that is the full document. So.
And Eric, just
Yes.
real quick, just to make mention that if there are any addendums, please check the same location as it gets closer to the time for the RFP to be completed. Any type of addendums will be located on that page as well.
Yeah, perfect, Jenny. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, in the event that we have to do that, that will be the location, same location. All right, so since we're here on this page, that's a good place to continue the discussion here. We are seeking a, I'm going to do a little bit of reading here off the screen. Seeking a firm to investigate, determine the extent of any environmental contamination of the lands and waters on the San Juan mine in Farmington, New Mexico. That is the mine portion. And prepare a comprehensive study using the Surface Mining Act and other applicable laws as necessary to really delve into this further. The kind of the overview in this second paragraph is the results of your study. We'd like you to develop a comprehensive restoration, reclamation, and remediation plan should you deem that necessary based on your findings. So I won't read these verbatim from the main scope of work. I will just touch on the high level here for the tasks and run through them just briefly. So task 1, provide a QA/QC document detailing what data will be used. There's, as many of you know, this won't be the first time that the site has been looked at. Task 2, investigate and determine the extent of any environmental contamination of the lands and waters on the mine. Of course, there are a few subsets there, a little more detail. Task 3, address the probability of adverse effects to human health and community resilience, ecosystem health, and anything resulting from groundwater contamination due to migration of toxic metal contaminants. Task 4, create a comprehensive restoration, reclamation, and remediation plan. And of course, we'd like to receive a copy of that as stated here in Word or something compatible there to that. Task 5, conduct an outreach within the impacted communities to inform the study. And task 6, make recommendations for any further technical review, technical study and review. And then task 7 really gets into the providing of a deliverable of the submission of the copy of a draft study and the potential plan and how you deem should be moving forward on it. Task 8, of course, we'll have a back and forth on, after seeing your draft, we'll have some comments and then go to that final stage, which would also include a presentation, which we will rely upon you from the technical side, given you're the experts out there in the field. The presentation will likely, will certainly be a joint effort to present to the legislative interim committee on what the findings of the study are. Now, I think just a slight elaboration on that is that while we do say co-present here, it will certainly be somebody from MMD giving the presentation, but would likely have the offerer or representation, or whoever the representative is, excuse me, in this project from the private sector or outside of the state to provide support. And we'll leave it at that. John has a question. Are existing documents and data available on the MNerd website for the site? Yes, there are existing documents and data available, not on the website. However, we had a internal discussion recently about this, and we plan to make those available here shortly. I'd have to get with the team to determine what we have out there. There are a few studies. There's a USGS study. There's an old EIS study from the old underground mining. And there's 2 or 3 other studies in there. So we will make that available and likely place it. I have to determine where the best place would be to put it so that everybody has a place to can see it. But we'll circle back on that question, okay, John? Because I know you won't be the only one asking that.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
No problem. Angela, San Juan Mine as a whole has several leases in operational areas, including but not limited to a generating station with associated facilities, surface leases, both federal and state, deep and deep extension lands. What is included in the extent of the area for this investigation? So Angela, we are looking at specifically the mine. Now, for those of us who know the area very well, the generating facility is right next to the mine, essentially. However, the legislative body, the state legislative body, has asked that the New Mexico Environment Department look at the generating facility, the power generating facility, and that the Mining and Minerals Division look at the San Juan mine specifically. Does that answer your question sufficiently?
Will there be a map? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah, very
Okay.
good. Hi.
Will there be a map that outlines the extents of the study?
We can certainly provide one. Yeah,
Okay.
that can be determined, and yes, yeah, we can do that because, of course, I'm sure you're thinking of any sort of evaporative ponds and that sort of thing around the generating facility. So yeah, that's we will. I'm making notes as we speak here.
And the follow-on question from a map showing the extents would be, do we know anything about the land ownership? Is this private land, BLM land? Is any of it on Navajo Nation lands? That'll all affect.
Right. Land ownership there is there's some private. There's certainly some mineral leases. There's some BLM land, and then I don't know the percentages offhand, but there are certainly a few different landholders there. No Navajo Nation that I'm aware of. But we can certainly have a map showing that. and we could have that included in the extents as well. Unless you'd like that in separate maps. I don't think it'd be too busy with the perimeter of the extents with the land ownership. I think that'd be pretty legible. So I'm just continually making a few notes here. Thank you for that, Angela. All right, I see that Beth is maybe typing something, so I'll just scroll through here a little further. That's really all I wanted to talk about in the RFP scope as far as the details. And that in kind of in a large umbrella of understanding here, we're looking for this RFP is seeking an assessment with some form of a resulting study or plan on a path forward. And the team here, like I mentioned earlier, used the legislative wording to craft our RFP so that we had a strong basis to go back to the legislation, or excuse me, the legislature, and give them some feedback on what we found. Beth has a question here. With regard to task 2, can you confirm if there will be additional site characterization fieldwork, or will we rely entirely on existing data and reports? Good question, adds John. So we are of the opinion, let me go back here to task 2. I think, Beth, you'll find a wealth of knowledge within what has already been done, the work that has already been done out there. I would place it on the offerer as to whether or not they felt additional sampling was required or any sort of characterization fieldwork. However, I believe that for the purpose of this RFP, we're staying focused on the current data that's out there. Now, should you deem it necessary based on your findings, then of course we would ask that you make a recommendation for further review or any additional work that you think that may be required to fulfill the intent of this. Does that make sense for you and John?
I think so. I think because with task 2, what you're saying is if we get into it and for some reason we deem that there's something additional, we can talk about it then.
Yeah, that if there's something additional, especially if it's really lacking, and I'm not speaking from a knowledge perspective of what the data is. I've read over some of those documents, but only in high level, so I don't know the details per se of those documents. But yes, that would certainly be something that we would, number one, like to be notified of, and that would be a potential for, I won't say further work, but it would need to be identified as a gap in the understanding of what's going on. Yeah.
I was trying not to use the word change order.
Yes.
But,
and
yeah, but I get you. Yeah,
we
you try.
appreciate
It's
that.
more of a
That was
desktop.
too. Yeah.
Try to rely on existing information.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good. Yeah, no problem. Let's see. Good. Are there any, yeah, I guess we've already opened the floor to questions around the RFP, and are there any other general questions or specific ones to this process or any of the content? Angela here. There are several tasks presented in the RFP or RFQ. You meant RFP, right? Including the investigation, public meetings, and presentations to be conducted in a timely manner. Additionally, the RFQ mentions a timeline that meets legislative deadlines requirements. What are the key milestone deadlines for the project? So I think as far as assigning dates to those milestones, I won't go there
Eric?
quite yet. Yeah, go ahead, Jenny.
Eric, if you go down into the RFP, you're gonna see the schedule of those milestones.
Okay,
It's gonna give the specific dates when we expect to have the information, I believe. There you go.
right into
You know,
this is
for the sequence, scroll down just a little bit further, I believe.
here. These are more
Oh,
for
my apologies. So actually,
is-
I think those dates were going to be determined after the award has been given.
right,
I know that we have to finish by a certain date,
right.
but those we're gonna leave up to the awardee to, or collaboration with the awardees to determine what the milestone dates are gonna be, to see what's gonna be realistic for them, right?
Yeah, no, that's where I was headed. No, that's it, Jenny, for sure. The what we're doing, so as far as the crux of the milestone deadlines, I think that will really have to be worked out with the selected offeror uh, down the pipeline once we've selected somebody. So we're looking into into February here. Contract award is the 23rd of February at this point. So the I think that's the best way to answer this at this point, because there's going to be obviously some internal discussion on what needs to be accomplished based on the tasks, and some back and forth discussion with the offerer to determine when one can get documentation and answering some of those questions down on paper. I will say that rather than sounding elusive, Angela, that we do have a fairly hard deadline at the end of this process, in which internally at least we've back calculated about how much time we would need to have the final documentation in-house, and that would be a soft milestone of about, I'd say, 2 to 2.5 months prior to July 1st of 2025. So looking into May, that kind of thing, just so that we had chance to talk with each other, share draft information with each other, and then get something finalized so that we could have a presentation ready for the legislature. And of course, a final product deliverable.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, you bet. A few people typing right now, but I'll just continue with the agenda as we're going here. So any additional questions that you might have, of course, outside of this meeting, feel free to email me at eric.monroe@mnerd.nm.gov. You will have already seen, I'm sure, after reviewing the RFP, that we have a non-mandatory site visit that all of you are welcome to attend on Thursday, November 16th at 9 a.m. And I guess since you're a captive audience, if you do plan to attend, I would ask that you just bring a high clearance vehicle and we can caravan with the mine operator into the site. I've already spoken with them about this, and we can easily do that. They promised not to take us onto too many high, four-wheel drive roads that would require four-wheel drive, so just a high clearance vehicle will be enough. And I am going to attempt to bring in my agenda here. I'm going to attempt to bring in this Google link into the chat, which will get you to the site. We'll get you to the guard shack. Well, that didn't work so well, but there are a few questions here that came up, so we'll go back to that. Okay, so Beth, with regard to tasks 4 and 5, scroll back up to that. 4 and 5. Do you envision that these two tasks will be somewhat iterative? Just rereading the tasks here. Yeah, that may require going back and forth a few times, especially like you say here. I think that the local community input feedback will be key in developing a successful plan. What do you anticipate for stakeholder engagement? That's a good question. I think we'll see some interest from various parties out there. I think you'll see those who are looking at it from the environmental perspective, which is important for all of us, water quality, land restoration groups. I can anticipate those who are also interested in potential work in the location, future work, I should say, as far as environmental restoration goes. But rather than put any names to those stakeholders, I think that we rely on the offerer to determine who that cross section will be, and that I do believe you're right. It will be more iterative, especially if a stakeholder pops out from who may not be locally represented, and might be more of a national presence that might show up and have some information or some interest that they'd like to have researched.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure there was going to be a little bit of latitude there, because I think you're right. I would completely anticipate a number of stakeholder groups, both locally and perhaps from other spots.
Yeah.
Eric, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Gabriel Wade. I'm legal counsel to MMG. I don't think there has been a process developed for this outreach. That's where it could very much be iterative. But I could see there being maybe a notice in the local paper and maybe a public meeting or meetings, but that process could get developed.
Thanks,
Right.
Jake. Yeah, yeah.
And even though it sounds like there's none of this mining that's located on Navajo Nation lands, I would fully expect that there'd be some effort to engage the local chapters since they're right adjacent.
Yeah, that seems completely reasonable. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Beth. Try one more time to bring in this. It's Google. Let's see here. There we go. Most of you know how to get there, but this was the best pinpointed map. These are just instructions to get from Farmington, essentially downtown Farmington, to the mine site, or I should say the gate. And I will add that there's a training building B is in Bravo, that we've already been told we could use as a rally point, but it's just within view of the guard shack. So, but I can give more detail there, and we'll likely do so on the website, just so that that's available to anyone who might want to show up. And yeah, so I think that's it as far as what I have for the meeting today, and just wanted to say thank you again for attending the meeting. I really appreciate it. And if there are any final questions, I would certainly be happy to answer them. And again, this is not the end of questions and answers. The line is open, like I said earlier, and we can go back and forth via email. Know, of course, that we're trying to share this information with all offerers, so that's why we're being sticklers for cataloging the questions and answers, so that everybody has the same exposure to the information. I saw Beth was typing, so I'm going to wait a moment there.
Yeah, sorry, I'm typing. I'm trying to make the track record here, but I just wanted to confirm on the costs.
Yes.
Are you actually looking for costs at this point or no?
Costs to complete the project, you mean?
Right. It says it seemed, I thought I read that there were a few conflicting statements, so it seems like you're asking only for qualifications, but there were a few stray references to costs in the RFP.
Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, I know the area you're talking about down at the end part of this. I think we would like to see costs. That's an important piece for us to understand.
Eric, this is James.
Yes.
This is just a request for qualifications. It's not based on cost at all. It's just, we're looking to hire qualified people.
Okay, all right.
So there's no cost involved at all.
Okay,
Thank you.
there you have
You're
it.
welcome.
Yeah. Greg asked, do we need to have MSHA training for the site visit? No. The only thing that we may need will be a video for, it's kind of an on-site safety video that most visitors and contractors see when they go on site. But no, you will not need MSHA training for the visit. At the very, in fact, I will say you should probably plan on about a 20-minute video for the site safety video upon your arrival, but you're not required to have MSHA training for this visit. Let me scroll back up here. So Maria was typing, so we will go back over here to the from the document preparation point of view, does the 30-page limit include resumes and forms? That's a good question. I saw that 30-page limit. I think it, I mean, my interpretation of it would be to exclude resumes and forms and have the 30-page limit going toward your, specifically your technical study. But I might defer to others in the group on my side that might have a different view of that.
I think you're interpreting the way that we talked about, so I think you're right.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just scrolling down here to that. Okay. Thorough description of offers qualifications to accomplish the activities. Yeah. Now, something I will bring up that I don't think was specified in the RFP, it's more of a logistical piece, is that there are top limits to what can be emailed as far as that number of megabytes. I think we're at 20 megabytes that can be received from the outside. And I know we stated that we could have it either electronically or in paper, but if you are emailing, feel free to knock your document into pieces if it's larger than 20 megabytes, and also included in that, if there's anything in your email text, just make sure that that's under that limit. If we, another question from Greg here, if we are bringing our own vehicles, do we need to have mine safety equipment such as wheel chocks, buggy whips, and the like? Also, what PPE do we need for personnel? So, of course, you're always welcome to bring your own chocks and buggy whips. They do have many available there at the guard shack for use. And from a PPE standpoint, we just look toward a hard hat, safety glasses, reflective vest, and composite or steel toe boots. Past that, there's no other needs, and I would imagine the mine personnel will have a number of visitor hard hats available. So I've seen up to 8 or 10 different buggy whips there and chalk block sets. So I think you're in pretty good shape there, Greg, for borrowing what's there at the site. We just make sure we give it back when we're leaving the site. And the Only other thing would be a operable fire extinguisher. They do have fire extinguishers available also at the guard shack. Does that cover you okay there, Greg? I guess, does that answer your question? No problem. All right. Well, I think I'll leave it open for another 5 minutes here on questions and answers, but that really does end what I had for the presentation in the agenda. And I do appreciate your interest and, of course, the questions that you raised. We appreciate that because ultimately on the tail end, this makes this on the back end, it makes it easier for us to move this process forward. So thank you. I appreciate that. Again, it's 10:20 now, so I'll just leave it open for another 5 minutes in case something comes to mind. And then I'll close off the session. But if you would like to leave the session now, that is fine. No problems there. We all have busy days, so I'd like to leave that opportunity open to leave the chat here. But again, I guess one last thing, this recording will be available on our website, and maybe a link, it may be as a separate file in the same location that I showed you under, excuse me, let me show you here. In this area here of the San Juan, and this is a bit of a misnomer now that we've talked about it further, San Juan Generating Station request for proposals. But yes, that's where we'll stick the recording of this, and that way you'll have that information should you need to refer to it. And I do appreciate people typing in these in the chat window. It certainly makes our cataloging of the questions easier. Last question from Beth. In terms of the larger picture of reclamation, will there be a coordination between NMED and New Mexico Natural Resources Department on the restoration and reclamation plan for the mine and the San Juan Generating Station? I do see that this will be we'll be joining forces as we get information, and our offerers, our contractors are creating deliverables for us. I do see a coming together at some point, but we are separately funded at this point. So that's the reason we're doing this. We're dealing with the mine site, and NMED is working with the generating station. James, I saw you might be coming in. I want to leave the channel open for you to maybe answer that further if you like.
Actually, I wasn't planning to, but that is correct. Because of the separate funding, we really are focused only on the mine. Yes, there will be coordination, but the coordination is only going to happen actually during the legislative presentations, that we will try to combine some kind of a summary page that will summarize both the power plant information and the mine information. But other than that, we really have to focus separately, because Environment Department does not interact with the mine, and MMD does not interact with the power plant. They're two separate entities, and so it is really a two-pronged approach that has some joint effort, but for this RFP, it's focused solely on the mine.
Thanks. I was kind of just wondering about that in terms of the stakeholder engagement.
Mm.
It just seems like from the stakeholder side, it could be awkward because I think the whole, it all gets lumped together and it might make it a bit confusing or feel a little bit odd to consider one versus the other just based on the funding. Just a thought.
Yeah, I see your point there, Beth. I think yeah, I mean, we have the sites as they are, and based on your feedback of I'll get together a map with the operator on the extents and the land ownership. And we do recognize that they are quite proximal to each other, the mine and the generating station. So it's certainly one for the offerer to consider, that there might be some overlap. Almost by necessity, I would say.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Sure. Well, good. We've gotten to 10:25. I've gotten this out till 10:30, but since people still have more questions, I we'll leave it for another 5 minutes, and then we can close the session at 10:30. But that seems to have covered pretty much everyone's concerns. And that map, like I said, we'll make that available in the same location that we were talking about earlier in this. Well, I have to think about that. The RFP. It might be the easiest place to put it, but we'll have it under a separate heading, I guess. Separate subheading. Back over here. Just checking on participants real quick here. Okay. All right, we are good there. Well, I think I'm going to go back on what I said here, and let's just end it a little early. I think everyone's in pretty good shape. And again, we will potentially see you out there if for the San Juan site visit. And if you do, if you wouldn't mind just sharing an email with me to say you're be coming, that would be great. That way we can expect you and make sure we wait up for you in case there's some sort of backlog there of work or some traffic or what have you. Yeah, thank you everyone. Angela, Beth, Maria, Greg, and John. Appreciate you coming in today to this meeting, and look forward to anything in the RFQ side that you'd like to send our way. Thanks again. Have a great day, and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all.
yeah, have a good one. All right,
Eric, are you
James.
gonna close
Yeah.
the recording?
Yeah, let me go here. Recording has started, and then I need to go back. Record. Stop recording. Stop.